G'day again, Facebook, and today, Media Theology live video challenge. We're going to have a look at one of the tools. It's a bit dark, isn't it? That's better. One of the tools that I think you just got to have in your media toolkit. If you're in this space, it's something you need to be aware of and use it where possible to think about things. And that's what's referred to and known as McLuhan's tetrad. Now, he wrote extensively on this in a book called The New Science, The New Media, The Science of the New Media. Yeah, I haven't quite got that right. Like I said, library in the garage over that way, buried somewhere. So that's a bit painful. But anyway, what it is a series of 4 questions that you can apply to any particular media that you're looking at. The media being the medium, something that is carrying the content of some sort. So, like I've said before, he was quite expansive with his definition of medium. So, for instance, an example that I'm going to use that is one of his examples is the medium of the car. I'm sorry for my voice too. I'm suffering from the man flu still, so it's a little bit funny, and I got the sniffles as well, so sorry about that. But if we think about the car, and we've got these 4 questions: what does it enhance or amplify? What does it retrieve? So bring forward from the past, something that's sort of gone out of vogue, gone out of fashion. What does it make obsolete? And when pushed to its extreme, so when sort of pushed to the edge of its limits, what does it reverse into? Okay, so let's have a look at these questions one by one to just give you a bit of a sense of how to unpack this around something like the car. So when the car came into being, what did it enhance? So it enhances, for instance, and extends the feet. So you can travel so much further when you've got a car. You don't just are limited. So at that stage you would have had horses and you would have had trains. So you're able to travel a lot further and a lot of different pathways than just a train track, which was one of the fastest ways to travel. So it extends your feet, your ability to move. It extends the sense of travel and seeing the world, and in sort of shrinking the world. So it's enhancing your ability to get places in the world, as you would see now. So, like these days, we'll drive 100 kilometres and it's not a big deal. But 150 years ago, if you wanted to travel 100 kilometres, 35 kilometres an hour on a train is probably the fastest speed you could use to get there. So you're looking at 3 hours. So enhances the ability to travel. What does it make obsolete? Well, that's pretty obvious because we don't see them around much anymore, but the horse and buggy, and also decreases our desire to walk. So, if it's a little bit further down the way, we'll probably jump in the car and drive down to the shops rather than walk down to the shops as we would have in the past because we had no other option. One of the other things that it kind of makes obsolete is the sense of journey. So, actually appreciating and going on a journey and not just being focused on the destination. So it kind of obsoletes the whole journey side of things because you just focus on getting to the destination. And, that's made even more exacerbated by when you stick, DVD players into a car. It's like people can sit in the car and watch DVDs and they're not even looking at what's passing by on the outside. So that sense of journey and exploring and the journey actually being a part of what is important as well, that gets obsoleted. What does it retrieve? Okay, so this one's sometimes a little bit more difficult to put your finger on, but in the instance of a car, it retrieves that sense of nomadic life. So particularly here in Australia, for instance, we'll often have backpackers come over. It's a huge country, so what they'll often do is buy a camper van and be nomads for the time that they're here, maybe 12 months, 2 years, and they'll just travel around and see Australia as they go, and they live a very nomadic lifestyle. It also can retrieve the sense of quest, so that sense of setting out, that destination sense and setting out on a quest. And the other thing that he said was it retrieves the sense of a knight in shining armour, turning up. Obviously the car and shining armour go together really well. So those 4 questions again for McLuhan's tetrad. What does it enhance or amplify? What does it make obsolete? What does it retrieve? And what does it reverse into? So what I want to do is, throw this into a more theological space for a second, but in a really practical sense. And I want to say, well, let's look at something that we've introduced into our services in most churches around the place. These days, you've got a data projector, right? And so you can read a bit more about this I'll leave a link to this book, The Hidden Power of Electronic Media in Shaping Culture, something like that, by Shane Hips. I'll find the couple of books I've mentioned and leave links below. But let's think about this data projector. So what does it enhance? So in some ways, it enhances a sense of belonging because everybody's there together and you can all see what's going on in the data projector. It can enhance a sense of community because we're all together and there's nothing between us and anyone else, like if we're holding a hymn book or something like that we sort of become an individual reader of that book. We're all together as one. So what does it obsolete? Now this one's probably pretty easy. Hey, thanks Marty for the like. Good to have you on board. It obsoletes the hymn book. Like I've said, you don't need to have those anymore. It obsoletes the need to actually remember songs. So in the past, probably before the hymn book, people would remember a lot more. They would remember songs, would remember hymns, because there wouldn't be words that they could read, and you'd just learn them by memorization. And the other thing that it definitely obsoletes, if it's being used by the preacher in those situations, is often obsoletes the Bible. So people don't need to necessarily bring their Bibles along anymore because the verses are all going to be up on the screen, and we can all see that together. So that's the obsolete. What about retrieves? So I'm going to say in this space it retrieves a sense of the choir. So we're all there singing together, being conducted by the data projector. We follow the data projector for which part of the song we're going to, and you'll notice this if the slides for the song are wrong. Everybody's kind of like, well, what do? We don't know where to go. Our conductor's gone in a different direction to where our musicians are going, and we're kind of lost. So it brings a sense of the choir. And I think it also retrieves something of the communal word. So the word doesn't belong to everybody as individuals bringing their Bibles along, but instead the word becomes a communal word that's in front of everybody and shared in front of everybody. And so there's a sort of expectation that the word, the Bible that we'll receive on this particular day, it's going to come from the leaders of the church, as it would have done in the past. They'll be deciding that. I mean, they still would decide that in other circumstances. But if you don't bring a Bible, you sort of can't read what's before a verse that's put up or what's after. You're just completely at the whim of whoever is actually putting up what's on the data projector if you've not brought your Bible along with you. All right, and so finally, what does it reverse into? And so I've said a couple of things here. One is I think it reverses into TV and entertainment. So we start to kind of go, well, we've got this data projector that can do this amazing stuff. Well, why don't we do some more amazing stuff on this data projector? And so sometimes we maybe put things into the data projector just because we can, not because we've actually thought too much about it, and all of a sudden you're just watching something that entertains you the whole time. Or the other thing is that it becomes a distraction. So people are busy watching what's going on the data projector instead of being focused on other things. So they're just my thoughts around a data projector in the church. The thing with this tetrad is, there's no really right or wrong answers. It's all about just trying to help you think about how is this environment being shaped and changed by this new medium that we've introduced into this space. And so it becomes very, very useful to help you think beyond content, because you're not thinking about what the content of a car is, you're thinking, or the content of the data projector is necessarily, you're thinking more about, well, what does that data projector itself do? So those four things again: what does it enhance or make easier or amplify? What does it make obsolete? So what does it take away that we don't need anymore? what does it retrieve? So something from the past that's brought back, and we start doing it again. And what does it reverse into when pushed to its limits? So yeah, maybe I forgot the one with the car. I can't remember if I said the reversal on that one, but certainly with the cars, it reverses into traffic jams. When everybody's got a car, and everybody's trying to go to the same place at the same time, you get a traffic jam. And if you drive way too fast in the car, it reverses into car crashes and things like that. So hope that's helpful to help you think beyond content. I'm going to leave it there. Be sure to tag someone below who you think might like this. Extra points for doing that. And I'd still love to have you suggest whether you've got a something you want me to give my 2 cents worth on, like a book or a movie or a song or anything like that, or if you've got any other questions. And hey, thanks, Marty. At least I know I've got one couple for my reality TV idea. Now I just need to find the couple that are going to be happy to look after your kids while I send you away for a holiday. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out yesterday's video, and I'll see you again tomorrow.